All right. Welcome, folks, to this special edition of this AMA, wherein we're going to talk about designing your career. And if we have time remaining, we'll go into an AMA as well. A quick mic check. Just if you can hear me, just type yes in the chat. And just to give some context, we're going to focus more on excelling in your job. So, in case if there is someone here who's looking for their first job, most likely, like it will not be much of help to you. If someone is looking for maybe going for masters, again, like out of scope for this session. This is for someone who's working um, like most likely working as a front end developer and then looking at how to grow in their careers. So yeah, overall the summary, if uh, if you are into summaries and if you are like, okay, just tell me in one line what to do. Uh, the talk is summarized as become so good they can't ignore you, and we'll talk in more detail about this. But overall, this is the gist. Um, the fields that we are in, basically, which is the tech industry, is a rapidly evolving field. And it has been the case since decades. It's not like last 3 saal mein hi it has been changing. Uh, if you remember, if any of you have studied computer science in the colleges, you know ki bhai, how outdated that syllabus was. So this is a field which gets evolved, gets updated very fast. So we need to be adaptable to new things. At the same time, this is also one of the major reasons why the tech sector, this sector also pays very well. And these things go hand in hand. Um, all right. So let's move to the other next thing, which is this is something that many of you have thought about. Okay, you know front end, what to do. Do you want to go into advanced front end, like dive deeper into things? So like simple front end would be things like, okay, you can connect to an API, you can maybe render data from there. And the other thing would be you have a form, you're submitting data to the backend. And then advanced front end would be things like, okay, maybe you're building more complex applications. You are building something on canvas, something on maybe you're rendering building a video editor. So basically more complex things, uh, like diving deeper into the front end domain itself. The other thing, which is a very adjacent field to front end, is mobile development. Of course, backend is always there. When I say backend, mostly mean SQL, because once you know SQL, then other things are more or less similar. Like if you are done with, if you have mastered SQL, then writing APIs and all is not that complicated, to be honest. So SQL is one path, then DevOps or cloud, AWS is another path. Problem solving has always been there. And then the other thing is, hey, maybe um, what about non-tech things like, okay, tech, writing code is one thing, but what about other things like product or design? And the key here is finding what you like. And the way to go about it is you pick each of these things in a round robin fashion. Don't think too much about it. Just pick these things in a round robin fashion. Spend a few weeks on each topic. The one major gap that I see when I talk to most of the juniors, and again, this is how this talk came to be, because I was just answering same and same things again to everyone, and I was like, okay, let's just do it to everyone. It's like most people, what I've seen is think a lot about kya karna hai, and not, they don't spend as much time as doing something. They'll just maybe, maybe you can call it procrastination. We'll just read blogs about what to do next, or maybe comparison between, okay, अच्छा backend सीखना है, इतना हो गया, but किस में सीखें, like let's say, do we want to learn in Java? Do you want to do it in Golang? Do you want to do it in Node? So I think, a lot of people just spend time in finding, or just procrastinating by reading comparisons and like what exactly to do, or maybe just finding the best way. um, but the thing to note here is, uh, initially you don't need to optimize for the best way. You just need to see in these different paths what is something that you like the most, and that is something only you can answer. Once you have had uh, you have spent time on a bunch of topics, then whenever you're having a discussion with either me or anyone senior in your network, then you'll be able to have a much more productive discussion on, okay, what exactly to pursue next. So if to take away for someone who is looking to get some takeaways from this session, of course you can just listen and just log out after this session कि अच्छा कुछ तो हम talk में गए थे कुछ सुना. But if you actually want to have some takeaways from this session, the first takeaway for you is try out a bunch of things and then see what you like. Because the thing is, once you like something, then only you'll be able to build depth in it. And depth is what eventually leads to career capital. So in so the title of this book, this talk, So Good They Can't Ignore You, comes from a book of the same name. And the book talks about career capital. And what that essentially means is, whenever you are learning something, whenever you are expanding your knowledge on any particular thing, it could be the domain that you are currently employed, or any adjacent domains as well. The more you learn, you actually accumulate career capital. If I have to uh, give an analogy, it's almost like you're gaining some kind of a currency, just not like direct cash, but it's a currency that you are gaining. And after you have gained enough of it, you can actually exchange it for other things um, in your career. And it's very similar to how money works. Once you have a lot of money, you can exchange it to, let's say, for example, if wherever you're living, if it's hot in there, you can actually buy an air conditioner. You can give money, get an AC. So similar to that, uh, the more things you know, the higher your career capital becomes. And that is how you get optionality towards your career. Maybe it's not, maybe you'll not get it immediately, like in 1 month, but over a long term, you'll get a lot of optionality in your career. So given a bunch of like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 potential paths, uh, spend a few weeks each. Uh, maybe we don't need to spend in each. Like, let's say if you like three of them, just do that, and that is how you go about this. Let's uh, let's sort of internalize this more. Um, I think this directly sort of comes into, just make a link here. Okay. Yeah. So career capital is essentially, in summary, it is the more complex things you know, the more rare you are. So for example, let's say if I have to talk about rarity in this context, let's say if you know front end, maybe uh, let's say front end, let's call it one basically. Then let's say if you know front end plus mobile, let's call it two. um, let's say front end plus back end, let's call it three. um, what else? So okay, just giving some examples. The more complex any combination is, and more complex kaise hoga, it's just about ki you will have to spend a lot of time in it. You will actually see yourself कि अच्छा मैंने इसमें 3 महीने 6 महीने 12 महीने लगाए हैं. And that is what is rare in this world. So most people, how they go about their careers is ki when they want to get their first job, that is when they put the most effort in, which is logical. That's fine. But after getting a job, most people do not put more efforts while they're having a job. And that is where you have an opportunity to become more rare. And how it works out in the world is, the world is a free market. Uh, so just bringing some economics terms here, free market means there's a concept of supply, there's a concept of demand. And the more rare you are, the more uh, the more rare you are, the lesser your supply is, basically. So for example, if I have to talk about uh, let's say, अगर front end x लोगों को आता है and front end plus back end y लोगों को आता है, तो like you can clearly see that x is the number of, like, just quantify करें तो x is like more than y, or even if I have to put it, x is much more than y, right? And that's where supply demand kicks in. The lower the supply, the more you are valued, and that is how you sort of build on this. So a good thumb rule. So I like thumb rules because you can sort of just use it in any context and just sort of uh, help. They sort of help you in making decisions. So a thumb rule that you can keep in mind, again, like a second takeaway maybe for you, for anyone in this session, could be do what others won't, and that is what will make you rare. If someone if everyone is doing the same thing, then uh, usse you will not become rare, usse your value will not increase. It will increase, but sabhi ka utna increase hua hai, to you'll not stand out. So um, uh, a very common gripe that I hear with front end developers, and of course, I think while starting out, I had a similar thing. Ki I hated CSS. I was like, okay, this is something that is not interesting, or it's just confusing and मजा नहीं आ रहा. I think सीधी मतलब, like, long story short, I don't like doing CSS. Let's just use, like, copy paste things and just try to work a way around it. And what I've seen is people who pushed through that complexity. So complexity हो गया, that rarity हो गया. People who know CSS, they have put their time into mastering CSS, they are more valuable. Why are they more valuable? Because there are less number of them. So thumb rule again, do what others won't. This is something that will sort of help you in making decisions. And again, like, all of this is only if you want your career to look like a certain way. Tech may, the best part is key, even uh, you if you, as long as you have a job and you can sustain that job, from a financial perspective, you're sorted for life. But if someone wants okay, what can we do more, how can we make the best of our potentials? So the summary that I think you've already heard me say 3 times in the last 20 minutes already, you'll see me say it more times. The solution is you invest more time into learning things. Moving ahead, careers are 30, maybe even 40 years long. And for that, compounding really kicks in. And we'll do a small exercise now. So let's just get ready for a small exercise. It's not meant to scare you. It's not meant to like I don't want to. If you want to share the answer, you can. If you don't want to share the answer, that is also fine. But it's a good reflection point that I have been using personally for myself in my career. And let's. I just want to give you the framework so that you can also do that. So the reflection question is: what have you learned in the last 3 months that you didn't do before? And we're going to take 3 minutes. You can reflect on it. You can type in the chat if you want. If you don't want to type, if you don't want to type in public, you can also, instead of sending it to everyone, you can just send to me. If you don't want to send, that's also fine. But again, like since this is a closed space, uh, it would be a good exercise for you all to answer this question. Again, like if you just read it, if you're just listening to me, if you're not answering it for yourself, then you'll not internalize what I'm trying to say. But yeah, for whoever is with me, take 3 minutes and answer this question. Three could be subjective. I think maybe I think we can expand it to 6 months also. That's fine. Maybe we'll just call it 2024. Let's just call it uh, this year. What have you learned that you didn't know before? Let's take a few minutes and type in the chat. Don't press enter yet. We'll use a waterfall method to see all answers together. Uh, yeah, let's take 3 minutes and then answer it, and then we'll move forward. So we have a question in the chat, learnings as in technical. Yeah, yeah. Related to the tech industry. Well, of course, you can um have other non-technical like life skills learning, but I think in the context of this discussion it is mostly related to tech. So for example, I think, let's say for example, learning to drive, learning to cook, these are also good learnings, life skills to have. But for the context of this discussion, let's just limit them to technical learnings. Technical may it could be or maybe IT learnings. Now, IT mate could be technical, non-technical. For example, product design, Figma. These are also technical in some sense. But yeah, so IT related. Yeah, that's the uh, career related. I think that's a better way to put it. All right. All right. Last 15 seconds. Type in the chat. Don't press enter yet. We'll press it together in 10 seconds. You don't need to write a paragraph. We can like keep it short as well. And let's see those answers in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Press enter now. All right, all right. So I'll just read out just to sort of get a sense of things. Learned about how to implement adapter pattern, MVVM architecture, Angular 17. Um, Problem solving is important for switching to big companies. There's no point running away from it. Some React Native animations, Python, Fast API, 3JS, DynamoDB, Lambda, system design, documentation, Node. Um, problem solving, authentication, schema design, API design, mobile apps. All right, all right, all right. Bit of Flutter, CS fundamentals, very nice. Few backend as a service, Next.js authentication, Superbase. All right, cool. I think we have like uh, like we say in the product world, we have the early adopters or the first the early movers here, and I see uh very yeah. I feel like most of you are are on the growth path, which is think you already are doing a bunch of things. So what I mean by compounding is if you maintain this learning rate for 30 years, um, you will see a significant improvement, significant growth every few years because um, when you are thinking in terms of months, it sort of looks small कि अरे एक महीने में 2 महीने में 4 महीने में क्या ही हो जाएगा. But when you look back in terms of years, when you look back at what you have done in the last 2 years, last 3 years, that is where you'll start seeing um, compounding happen. And there's a very I think you might have seen this already, which is if uh, if you're just improving maybe 1% daily, then if you just um, keep doing it on a regular basis, I don't remember the exact number, but I think it is like a very high multiplier that you get over a period of time. So yeah, let's move forward. All right. Um, let's talk about work satisfaction now. And this is something that, again, has come from a bunch of discussions one on one with a lot of people. And a common thing that I hear is मजा नहीं आ रहा काम में. It is either getting boring, it is either like you're not looking forward to it, um, either it is काम कम है, काम अच्छा नहीं है, काम is just not exciting. And the solution to that is autonomy plus competence. What is autonomy? Autonomy is how independent you are, uh, how much decisions can you take by yourself. So let me give an example. Let's say you're building a new app. Let's keep the context to front end, right? Let's say you want to build a new app. Let's consider two cases. In one case, one of your seniors or your team lead uh, has told you everything, or like they have told you ki acha, you need to use so and so library, and us library may use this version, and then make use this pattern, uh, you organize your code in this way, and like basically you have been like all the decisions have been taken by someone else, and they have been communicated to कि ऐसे करना है, and then you're just sort of implementing it. That is one case where it eventually leads to dissatisfaction because you feel कि अरे ये तो कोई भी कर सकता है, like if I'm just being told what to do and I'm just doing it. Of course, initially when you are just joining as um let's say in your first job, initial few months may you need that training, but after you've crossed that point, uh, taking ownership of more decisions in the workplace is a good good thing to keep in mind in order to increase your work satisfaction. The more decisions you take, wrong honge, right honge, that is independent. Like in most companies, your decisions would be reviewed by someone else, either in your code review process or even just in your discussion with your seniors when you are discussing or how you're going to build that new feature. So take let me just write it as well. Take more independent decisions. That is what is autonomy. You can do things yourself, and competence is more like a bit intuitive thing, which is the the more depth you have, the more knowledge you have about something, um, the more satisfying it becomes. And uh, an example is like, let's just pick a very um, okay. Let's just think of something. Let's say you're just solving a Rubik's cube, right? Now, maybe you solve it in 3 minutes, you solve it in 5 minutes, um, right? But then you start thinking about, okay, how do I solve it in 1 minute? And that is when you will have to go deep into, okay, what are the patterns? How do I move things quickly? How do I take decisions fast? How do I optimize things? Uh, anything where you go deep in, to say, I'm just giving an example of Rubik's cube here. Even if you just keep a goal of कि अच्छा मुझे रूबिक्स क्यूब का टाइम 5 मिनट की जगह 1 मिनट करना है, या 1 मिनट की जगह 40 सेकंड करना है, 40 सेकंड की जगह 39 सेकंड करना है, 35 सेकंड करना है. लाइक द मोर you are made to go in deep in some topic, that is that eventually brings work satisfaction as well. Also known as like deep work, wherein you're thinking a lot, you are going deep into things, and you're learning more about it. So in some sense, the more you learn, the more in some sense you also get a dopamine hit by learning, and that is how you get your satisfaction as well. So in case, either right now if you're feeling like that, or maybe sometime in the past or future, whenever you have this feeling, just break it down into two things and just see which particular factor can you try increasing immediately. And once you take some steps to do that, you will see an increase in your satisfaction as well. And this is super important. This is super important to figure out in the tech industry, because अगर ये let's say अगर नहीं figure out किया है, तो फिर eventually you will burn out, and like you'll just wake up one day and you just flip your table. You'll just be like, नहीं करना मुझे ये, and then it's very hard to get back. Uh, so you don't want to get into that position wherein work के प्रति you just become कि नहीं मुझे करना ही नहीं है. Of course, if you don't like it, then that is fine. But try to avoid going to that level wherein one day you wake up and you're like, नहीं करना ही नहीं कुछ. So it's better to fix that, identify it early कि क्यों नहीं satisfaction आ रहा है. And most of the time it will be either one of these two factors, which is कि either you're not able to express your freedom, you're not able to take decisions yourself, someone else is doing it for you, तो तुम्हें कुछ सोचना नहीं पड़ रहा, and it is just feeling like grunt work basically. Grunt work, like basically avoid grunt work. Grunt work is कि किसी ने कुछ बोल दिया and then तुम्हें कुछ सोचना नहीं पड़ रहा and you're just doing it. um, and then competence is the deeper you go in any topic, the more uh, you will like it. And like I gave an example, it is not just limited to tech things. It is also limited to anything you can quantify. Let's say even if you are running on a treadmill, and if you're running 1 kilometers in, let's say, 8 minutes, can you reduce that to 7 minutes 30 seconds? Can you reduce that to 7 minutes? Can you do that 6 minutes 30 seconds, 6 minutes, 5 minutes? Uh, the more you practice, the more you improve. It directly correlates with your satisfaction as well. So shallow work में वो नहीं मिलेगा. So if you just know things in on the surface level, that is when you will start getting bored, because uh, Yeah, it is just ki हाँ हो रहा है, like you're not using your brain much. All right. I think we covered a bunch of things. I think maybe just one or two things might be remaining. Let's just see. All right. Um, this is this is this is one of those things which, like this month itself, I've talked to multiple people about this. And I like being in the tech industry. I have like strong opinions on this. Key initially, when you are young, when you are in your 20s, you have more. You have 20s may you have more time and you have more energy. These two are different, by the way. You have more time on your hands because you don't have a lot of family commitments. Like after marriage, after having kids, your free time goes down, goes for a toss. Same similar with energy. When you're young, you have more energy to do things. As you grow older, and I can give a personal example. 5 years back, I had like double the energy that I have right now. अभी भी है अच्छा energy, but like 5 years back double था. उससे पहले और भी ज़्यादा था. And this will keep on decreasing. Um, so 20s is the best time to invest your extra time, extra energy into learning things, and money will follow. Money will always follow. Uh, I know, unfortunately or fortunately, I don't know. I know a lot of examples. I know a lot of people by their names. I I have interacted a lot with people who are stuck in this thing. Um, And what golden handcuffs means is you have a high current package, and but the work is not that great. You are maybe doing the same things over and over. जो अभी कर रहे हो 6 महीने पहले भी वही कर रहे थे, 12 महीने पहले ही वही कर रहे थे. And again, like I said, tech में there are no wrong answers. Tech में, as long as you just get into tech, more or less your life is sorted. But if you want to optimize for the best scenario or best potential, utilizing your max potential, then avoiding golden handcuffs is very important early on. And the thing that I see is, and let me define it as well, right? If you have, let's say, 2 years of experience and you are making double digit salary, I classify that as a golden handcuff, which for comparison purposes, in India, the average college graduate or the average engineer, uh, okay, actually, the average graduate is unemployed, right? The average person in India doesn't make a lot of money; they are just unemployed. In just considering the number of people who are employed, let's just see all the freshers or all the graduates, all the engineers. Out of everyone who gets a job, the average is 3.6, and you know who are the companies that give that. And within 1 year, 2 years, they get to like 5 or 6. That is how the Indian market is. So anyone who is like, much ahead, like let's say, like I was saying, if you're at 1 year, 2 year experience and you are already making more than 10 LPA, from a salary perspective, it is pretty high. Well, of course, you might uh, be talking to your friends and you might be feeling कि अरे मुझे तो कम मिल रहा है, but that is not the case. मतलब if you just see objectively, मतलब from a comparison perspective, उसका तो कोई अंत है ही नहीं. There will always be someone else who's earning more than you. So from a the problem that this thing creates is, as long as or as soon as you start making a good amount of money, then your switching preferences change. And like at Rocket, I see this every day. When I have good workplace opportunities, but people are not willing to uh, switch there or join. there, even after getting laid off, is they're just like, okay, we cannot go at a lower package than what was already there. And what they fail to realize is that I think it's very hard to uh, not associate a self-worth with the CTC. And of course, saying it is easy. Matlab, I can like from a Gyan perspective, I can just say कि भाई don't associate or don't value yourself by your CTC. But होता है मतलब I think वो कहने को मैं उस पर अभी 2 मिनट 5 मिनट और स्पेंड कर सकता हूँ बट ठीक है I think वो होता ही है I think थोड़ा I think we'll just sort of over this point. Very hard to implement this. Even if we talk about this, I know कि इस पे कुछ implementation होगा नहीं. So I think we'll just sort of wrap this, move forward and wrap this up. Just to summarize it, tech or your domain really doesn't matter. And what I mean by your domain is either you go deeper into front end, you go into mobile dev, you start learning SQL, you dive deeper into AWS, you master problem solving, you pick any non-tech skill like Figma or anything really. Uh, as long as you're in the IT industry, it doesn't really matter. What matters is how deep of a knowledge you have in that particular domain, and that is how you gain career capital, which is how you become more rare, you handle more complexity. If you're more rare, your supply is less, your demand increases, and that's how your career grows. And eventually it all boils down to doing what others won't, which is um, like again like not to the point of just like forgetting about everything else, like बिल्कुल ही social life zero कर दी, बिल्कुल ही uh, yeah बिल्कुल ही you're just like forcing yourself to learn things वैसा नहीं, but just spending 30 minutes 1 hour every day or maybe 5 hours a week, right? I think that's a good uh, good benchmark, which is, let me just write it here as well. I think, okay, I think I should have written it near compounding, but yeah, um, 5 years, 5 hours a week will just compound you like anything. Um, you'll not see the results in 1 month, 2 months, but before you know it, you'll be like very ahead out of from your peers. Of course, like 5 का 10 भी हो सकता है, but मतलब I'm just keeping like a small number so that it is more sustainable. If you just like keep a goal कि नहीं I will to do 20 hours a week and then अगले हफ्ते you are like चलो Netflix देखते हैं अब तो हो गया सब, तो that is not sustainable. तो compounding नहीं हुआ. Compounding तभी होगा जब you do it on a regular basis. I think I have everything which I wanted to tell. We'll open the room for questions. We have a few minutes remaining. So if you have any particular things about questions about anything that we discussed today, or any particular case that we did not cover and you want to talk about that, ask about anything. Now's the time to raise your hands, and then we'll go in that order. Um, one thing that I just had read in your Luma registration forms while you registered to this event was uh, how do you go about switching? And I think just the mental model I'll share there is you want to you can divide your switch into two parts. One is you want to target a small or a medium sized company, or you want to target MNCs. You want to target the former, building proof of work is the way to go. If you want to expand your domains, you can either do SQL for backend, AWS for DevOps. Picking one also works. Add good proof of work projects in any of these domains to your resume. That's the way to go uh, for Switch. If you want to go for MNCs, problem solving is the way to go. Um, it's also from a time perspective, also, I'll just add two more things. One is you want to switch. immediately or in the next few months, then this is easier. So basically, let's say I'll just write a timeline. 3 to 6 months may you can like build a couple of projects to showcase and get foot in the door. And this thing will take more time. Like this will take maybe 6 to 12 months or even more. So yeah, and then like business product design is like an entire thing altogether. I think that will not like switching mate won't happen. This is something where if you want to go into any non-tech things, the best way to go about it is you transition in your current company itself, which is wherever you are at right now. You just talk to your manager, hey, can I start making your designs as well, or contribute in writing PRDs as well. So you can also become like a product engineer, which handles the product end to end. Cool. I think I talked nonstop about a bunch of things. We'll open the room for questions, and if there are no questions, we'll end it early. Any any questions, small, big, uh, related to anything we talked about, unrelated to anything we talked about, because it's a small group. It's not like we have hundreds of people here. So if you have a question, now's the time to raise your hand, and we'll try to answer as much uh, as possible. And again, like like I said, small group है तो ऐसा नहीं है कि yeah, ऐसा नहीं है कि will sort of uh, judge you or anything. It's a very small group. It's a safe space. I know career decisions, career uh, talking about it is hard. कभी कभार ऐसा भी होता है कि मतलब फ्रेंड्स से भी you sort of avoid talking about this because you are like अरे यार how will I come across कि मैं ऐसा सोच रहा हूँ, मैं ऐसा सोच रही हूँ. But yeah, if you have anything you want to talk about, uh, now's your chance. Or maybe we'll do the other way around. What we'll do is, uh, can everyone raise their hands? I think this thing always works. I don't want to. I always think, okay, let's not go there, but yeah, that is how it works. Can everyone raise their hands? Click on the React button on the left side of share. You'll see a bunch of emojis, and then below that you will see raise hand. You see a few people who have not raised hand: Mansoor, Amin, Manish, Zoya, Ajinkya, Amar. Are you able to find that React button? All right. Uh, if you don't have any small or big doubt, or like you're sorted about ki, this is how you are envisioning your career 1 years, 2 years down the line, 5 years down the line. If you have like as a full clarity, then you can lower your hand. Else, let's talk about that. All right, let's go line by line. Vishwanath, do you have something to share?
Yeah.
All right, go.
Hi, Swapnil.
No.
Yeah. Swapnil, see, I have been working with Geekants for the last 3 years,
Hmm.
and like not 3 years. This July it will be 3 years, and primarily I've worked on React Native projects. So, my situation is like companies do see me as a React Native developer, which makes it a little harder for me to switch because then uh, you know वेब के जॉब्स एक साइड कर देते हैं और फिर उसमें मोबाइल में फिर नेटिव मोबाइल को अलग कर देते हैं एंड देन अगेन इफ वी सी hybrid development, mobile development. Then again, if we start Flutter, and then there comes React Native. So the funnel is very, small over here. So I am not sure over here, like, what should I do? Should I transition? Um, should I try to switch as a web developer? But then again, I don't have that much expertise in web. I just do know about the basics of it.
Got it. So let's try to answer this using what we discussed. So one thing we discussed was careers are 30 years, 40 years long. तो
Mhm.
3 साल में डोमेन स्विच करने में कोई दिक्कत नहीं, लाइक व्हाट यू सेड इज कि क्या मैं वेब में चेंज कर लूँ, कोई दिक्कत तो नहीं है, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है, बिकॉज यूल बिल्ड योर एक्सपर्टीज इन द नेक्स्ट 10 years. सो दैट इज टोटली फाइन. The other thing to think about is the supply demand. If from what I see between native and web has like 10x more supply.
Yes,
Any new person first enters web and then they go to mobile.
right.
So from a rarity perspective, uh, I think you are in a better place. And then let's go back to the first thing that we discussed, I think, which is what will eventually answer your question. Do you like, or are you liking what you're doing? Like, do you see yourself working in native? Let's just talk about 3 years more. Let's say 2027 में do you see कि मतलब forget other things, forget the company, forget the package, forget everything else. The kind of work that you're doing, like do you see yourself कि हाँ ये अच्छा लगता है तुम्हें, and you can work in the same domain for more time.
Yeah, I don't have any problem with that.
So अगर वैसा है तो I don't think switch करने का कोई point है, बिकॉज ऑफ टू थिंग्स. वन इज सेड कि अगर तुम उल्टा बोलते कि नहीं मुझे वेब में हूं मैं एंड अब मुझे मोबाइल में जाना है, देन देन ऑफ कोर्स यू आर मूविंग इनटू मोर रेयर और मोर कॉम्प्लेक्स थिंग. बट उल्टा हो गए तो एक तो यू विल जस्ट इंक्रीज योर कॉम्पिटिशन. एट द सेम टाइम मतलब कोई कोई ऐसा वो नहीं है तुम्हारे पास रीजन कि क्यों चेंज करना है. फ्रॉम अ जॉब पर्सपेक्टिव ऐसा नहीं है कि रिएक्ट नेटिव के जॉब्स नहीं है, मतलब इनफ जॉब्स हैं. एंड स्पेशली फॉर सीनियर पीपल, राइट? इफ यू आर अ फ्रेशर देन द डिस्कशन इज डिफरेंट. वंस यू हैव अ बंच ऑफ एक्सपीरियंस, जॉब का तो तुम्हें दिक्कत नहीं आएगा. तो अगर अच्छा लग रहा है तो फिर आई थिंक इट्स जस्ट बेटर टू बिल्ड डेप्थ देयर. सो नाउ द क्वेश्चन कैन बी चेंज्ड इनटू हाउ कैन यू बिल्ड डेप्थ इन रिएक्ट नेटिव. So you've worked, जैसे uh, this I saw कि you had mentioned कि you learned about those like animations, right? So that was one thing
Yeah.
that you did. So as long as you keep going in depth, in more depth on native, like I don't see a problem here. Like I think it's a good field, great field to be in.
Yeah, that is true. But like, I have also seen like companies. My I also want to go to some big companies at the end of the day.
Hmm.
Not now, but later on. And I have seen company like exiting out of React Native overnight. But that used to happen previously. React Native has became strong. Uh, it has
देखो
grabbed
अगर
more.
अगर like you what I'm hearing is अगर इवेंचुअल गोल एमएनसीज का या बड़े कंपनी का है तो
Mhm.
I think the thumb rule is just ki start investing time into problem solving. It will take
Mhm.
maybe 6 months, 1 year or more, but eventually मतलब भले ही immediately नहीं करना है, but 2 साल बाद करना है, 5 साल बाद करना है. अगर if that is the goal, then I think we can just like pick one path which is problem solving. Just like start spending a few hours a week on that.
Right. In the Swapnil, just another small question. In the meanwhile, I also got an offer from a small startup, uh, which I'm not sure about joining because उनका like तीन ही मोबाइल devs है उसमें से दो छोड़ के चले गए हैं
Hmm.
and the interview questions were like so easy like मुझे मतलब पर्सनली वो सेटिस्फाई नहीं किया कि मतलब इतना इजी क्वेश्चन क्यों
तो
पूछे हो तुम मुझसे।
व्हाट इज द रीजन व्हाई यू आर कंसीडरिंग दैट, मतलब एक तो प्रो होना चाहिए ना, व्हाट इज दैट प्रो?
हाँ, that I was just passively looking and I just applied that and then I just gave the interview and वो
नहीं नहीं,
निकल गया।
वो आई अंडरस्टूड, आई एम सेइंग कि तुमने कुछ कुछ कॉन्स गिनाए, तो एक प्रो भी तो
हाँ
गिनाओ कि भाई
हाँ,
मुझे
प्रो, या
प्रमोशन
आई
मिल
हैव
रही है
रिटन
या
इट डाउन।
पैसा ज्यादा दे दिए, या कुछ तो प्रो बताओ।
Yeah, just a second, I've just noted it down. Let me look into it. Yeah, so I've got three pros for that. Uh, so I saw that a few like for the backend people, I saw like few people came from big FANG companies. They left the job from FANG and they were working in this startup. But uh, again, they left after some time. Like people came from Adobe, Flipkart, Direct Time, and then they stayed just for the backend. I didn't see anyone from for the front end part of it. And also, uh,
नहीं तो
I might,
इज दैट अ
yeah,
प्रो? प्रो बताओ ना तुम।
like I might get a chance to explore backend in this company, but ये भी sure नहीं है. मतलब
वो तो
मिल
तुम
सकता
करंट
है ऐसे.
कंपनी में भी कर ही सकते हो ना, वो तो तुम कोई साइड प्रोजेक्ट भी उठा ही सकते हो।
Right. And also like they are hiring for non-senior position. This is a associate position. So like I'm not sure because I'm worked in a service-based company, so I'm not sure like how different the work is or the work culture is in a product-based company. So this might be a gradual step up for me. Other than that, तो कोई मतलब green flags नहीं मिला मुझे इस कंपनी में.
हाँ मतलब बहुत बहुत ज्यादा कुछ प्रो नहीं है ना, मतलब या तो ये
नहीं.
करंट में कुछ दिक्कत है, मैनेजर खराब है, या फिर पैसा टाइम पे नहीं आ रहा, मतलब कुछ कुछ प्रो कुछ रीजन वो होना चाहिए ना
नहीं.
jump के लिए। तो अगर जंप से तुम्हारा कुछ सिग्निफिकेंट नहीं चेंज हो रहा है, तो इट्स जस्ट बेटर टू फोकस ऑन लॉन्ग टर्म कि अच्छा 2 साल बाद क्या करना है, उसका हम तैयारी अभी से शुरू कर दें।
राइट. सो मुझे लॉन्ग टर्म में कोई लाइक बिग कंपनीज में ही जानी है, लाइक ग्रो और कॉइन स्विच,
हम्म।
इस टाइप की कंपनीज में. एंड बिकॉज माय सैलरी इज सो हाई एज दिस एट दिस पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम, कि लाइक आई हैव टू गो एज SD टू. So that sometimes worries me कि like what if the work culture here in weekends is different from what the product based companies might be asking for.
आई थिंक वो तो जो गोल्डन हैंडकफ्स वाला मैं चीज बोला था, लाइक आई आई नो
Hmm.
योर कंपनी पेज वेल
Hmm.
एंड या आई थिंक जस्ट बाय द टाइम यू अप्लाई, इफ यू जस्ट मेंटली डिसोसिएट योरसेल्फ कि यार पे कट पे भी मेरे को चलेगा। See, any company, if they are paying more, there must be some
Hmm.
reason behind it, right? They have to pay more. They have to pay more for retention. अगर वो ज्यादा पे नहीं कर रहे तो तुम कहीं और चल जाओगे, राइट?
Hmm.
तो आई थिंक इट्स मोर अबाउट द मार्केट डायनामिक्स रादर देन अ कमेंट ऑन आवर स्किल्स। मतलब इट्स नॉट अबाउट कि ज्यादा कहीं हमको पे मिल रहा है तो हम ज्यादा कॉम्प्लेक्स काम कर रहे हैं। आई थिंक वैसा नहीं है। एनीवन जैसे इफ यू सी और इफ यू रिमेम्बर, वेब 3 का बीच में बड़ा बूम आया था, एंड
Right.
वेब 3 में लोगों को बहुत पैसा मिल रहा था, एंड द
Hmm.
रीजन क्योंकि मिल रहा था इज बिकॉज उनको देना पड़ रहा था सो दैट समवन विल स्विच फ्रॉम वेब 2 टू वेब 3। पहले उन्होंने ट्राई किया सेम देने का, कोई स्विच ही नहीं किया, फिर
Hmm.
उनको ज़्यादा देना पड़ा सो दैट स्विच करें। आई थिंक इसमें भी वही चीज़ है कि अगर तुम कहाँ जहाँ भी हो, एंड लाइक आई जस्ट शेयर सम रेफरेंस नंबर्स कि अगर 2 ईयर एक्सपीरियंस पे यू आर गेटिंग मोर देन डबल डिजिट, मतलब डबल डिजिट में मिल रहा है, तो मोर और लेस इट इज़ अ वेरी हाई थिंग। ऑफ कोर्स यू कैन से कि नहीं किसी और को ज़्यादा मिल रहा है, बट pretty much it is very high for India. And अगर you want to sort of जैसे if you want to go to product company या मतलब whatever goals you have in mind, as long as
Hmm.
you are set in your mind कि अच्छा from on this point I'm ready to negotiate. uh, and of course अगर तुम्हारा current salary ज़्यादा है तो वन पॉइंट टू नेगोशिएट यही होगा कि भाई बहुत ज़्यादा रेज नहीं मिलेगा या थोड़ा कट भी मिल सकता है, तो फिर ओके विद दैट देन सी। बड़े कंपनी को तो तुम्हारा कोई जरूरत है नहीं ना, मतलब वो तो सीधी सी बात है कि उनको तो हजारों एप्लीकेशंस आ रहे हैं।
Hmm.
तो
So I don't mind the dynamics of the negotiation. Like it doesn't concerns me. Like even if I take a cut, uh, but in the long run I'll still be growing. So
Correct.
it doesn't matter to me. But will it matter to the companies? Because I've heard like companies become little bit skeptical about if some employee is taking a pay cut.
सी वो तुम्हारे हाथ में ही नहीं है ना, लाइक वी कैन टॉक अबाउट
Hmm.
दैट, बट जो जो चीज तुम्हारे हाथ में ही नहीं है उसके बारे में बात करके क्या फायदा है?
Right.
तो ठीक है, आई थिंक लेट्स मूव टू द नेक्स्ट थिंग. इफ यू हैव लाइक मोर डाउट, यू कैन जस्ट लूमा का जो भी ईमेल आया होगा उस पर यू कैन जस्ट रिप्लाई बैक.
Sure.
राइट. स्नेहा, व्हाट्स अप?
Yeah, hi, Swapnil.
हेलो.
So, I was, I mean, for the past 5 years, I've been working majorly in front end, and right now, from work perspective, I'm not really like satisfied and all. So I was planning on, either switching company and also skilling up. I feel like that rarity that you mentioned is missing. I think these two things is what I'm like currently feeling like, and I'm really not happy where I'm at. So I've started with problem solving right now, but and also I do have some time. It's not like I want to switch immediately. So how do I plan? How much timeline should I give myself, and how do I plan that timeline to build that rarity that you talked about? Um, and also how do I pick those different things, and do I make like projects sort of it, like personal projects sort of it, and then figure out, okay, this is what I like how do I go about it?
अंडरस्टूड. ओके, सो व्हाट टू पिक पे आते हैं बाद में. लेट्स फर्स्ट टॉक अबाउट द वर्क सेटिस्फैक्शन थिंग, बिकॉज अगर वो इमीडिएटली एड्रेस नहीं हुआ, देन दिक्कत उसमें क्या होगा कि देन यू विल बी लाइक कि नहीं फटाफट स्विच करना है. एंड वेन एवर यू गो इन टू दैट मोड कि कुछ फटाफट करना है, देन वी स्टार्ट मेकिंग लाइक रॉन्ग डिसीजंस. तो the like if we can tackle that work satisfaction cheese, let's talk about the two factors. One हो गया autonomy, one हो गया competence. So from an autonomy perspective, how's the current team structure like? Do you have seniors? Like, do seniors guide you? How much of your current work is independent?
Majorly, like in my team, I am like the one web developer. I do have a senior, but he's like involved in multiple teams.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel that that mentorship is also what I need, and that is missing, sort of.
Understood.
Yeah, but I think I will like my manager asked me to do like take ownership of things, but it's that what do I do? Sort of confusion is there, or how do I go about doing a certain thing? Because of that confusion, I'm not able to make like decisions.
थोड़ा एग्जाम्पल बताओ.
um for example, like my manager was telling that I should probably work on trying to solve some problems within the like the team, identify some problems and solve within the web related thing itself.
Mm-hmm.
Or there are multiple things happening outside the work that is given to us as well. He was like, get involved in that. But whenever I want to do such a thing, I feel like it's complex, and I don't know how to go about it. So I'm kind of stuck there thinking
Okay.
that how do I go about it, probably, and end up not taking action there.
Understood. So, from a objective perspective, having opportunities at work which are more complex, that is pretty rare. जैसे in your position, at least a manager is giving you the option कि अच्छा स्नेहा, अगर तुम्हें ज़्यादा कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी हैंडल करनी हो तो here are some opportunities. Most managers, most companies में वो option ही नहीं देते हैं. So, like I said, one good thing is this. The other good thing is you also identify it as a challenging thing. कभी कभी क्या होता है कि वी सी कि नहीं, ये तो आसानी हुए हैं तो क्यों ही करना है. But in this case, you also clearly acknowledge कि complex है वो, right?
Hmm.
So now that that complexity is established, um, I think I think it is just about now going into the deep waters, just like picking up one task, giving yourself permission to fail कि नहीं आया तो नहीं आया, it's okay. But जब तक तुम्हें feedback नहीं मिलेगा अपने attempt पे, so one thing is कि तुमने देखा ये टास्क है, एंड देन तुमने मेरे मन में सोच लिया कि इसको ऐसे कर सकते हैं नहीं कर सकते हैं, बट किया नहीं. The other thing is कि you actually attempted, and then whoever is the stakeholder of that task, either they will approve that task or they will say कि नहीं इसको ऐसे नहीं ऐसे करना था, या they would talk about कि ये gaps थे, right? As long as
Hmm.
they say कि ये gaps है, that is feedback, that is valuable. uh, that is the one thing that is missing from toy projects. So whenever we are doing things on ourselves, let's say मान लो पकड़ते हैं कि बैक एंड खुद से सीख रहा है कोई, तो whatever you build there, it is good from a learning perspective, but you're not getting any feedback कि अच्छा इसमें और क्या कर सकते थे. This is something you get only and only in a real world project. So what I would suggest कि मतलब it feels like a mental block. What you can just try doing it is कि you just think to yourself कि hey, I will do it for 1 week, that is it. Like you're not committing to कि I will always pick challenging projects. You can just sort of say कि hey, let's just try doing things. Let's just say कि जो भी एक हफ्ते में आएगा अगले एक हफ्ते में, let's try attempting that. As long as you attempt it, तो दो चीजें होंगी, या तो you'll be able to complete it or you will get stuck. Whenever you get stuck, that is again an opportunity for feedback. You can ask either your team itself कि यार आई एम स्टक हियर सो एंड सो प्लेस, इसमें मैं आगे कैसे बढ़ूं, या फिर यू कैन आस्क योर फ्रेंड्स, यू कैन आस्क एनी सीनियर्स. मतलब लेट मी गिव एन एग्जांपल. लेट्स से कि अगर बैकएंड में बात करें कि भाई if someone just ask or thinks कि अच्छा बैकएंड में ये डिजाइन कैसे करते हैं, ये ऑप्टिमाइज कैसे करते हैं इन जनरल, तो इट इज वेरी हार्ड टू आंसर फॉर एनीवन. बट इफ यू गो विद अ स्पेसिफिक प्रॉब्लम कि यार ये मेरा यूज केस है, इसमें मुझे ऐसे करना है, then the other people will also give you some direction.
Hmm.
And the good thing about where you are right now is कि it is not like कि you know everything, right? मतलब you are at your at an early stage of your career. Of course, you said 5 years, but uh, when we say careers are 30 years, 40 years long, 5 years is still like, toward the early
Hmm.
side. What that means is कि there are more people on the senior side of you, which will be able to guide you. Um, so yeah,
Yeah.
what I would just recommend is कि work may start picking up things.
Hmm.
Uh, let's talk more. Just ping me again on next Wednesday uh,
Hmm.
on Discord just to talk more about it. कि क्या काम था? Were you able to pick it up? If not, then why? If yes, then maybe you can talk about the task as well.
Okay.
And yeah, well, I think what you have here is very rare opportunity in itself, which is कि real world work में you are being given an opportunity to contribute. So like anything, like keeping everything else aside, I think you should like jump on this opportunity.
Okay. Okay. All right. Yeah.
Cool. Cool. Let's move to Prajwal.
My another question
Yeah,
about,
yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
yeah, I was talking to you about, I mean, I was telling about I have some time and I want to switch. So how do I plan about, designing that timeline?
Small mid company or big MNC?
Uh, MNC. Yeah.
Yeah. So problem solving is the way to go. So how much time do you have? How much time are you spending right now? How much more free time you have?
Um, right now, I think probably every day, not on an everyday basis, probably in a week, I'm spending probably 6 hours right now.
And how much free time you have?
I think I could spend another 6 hours.
Okay. So just curious, like, why are you not doing that already?
Yeah, I'll do that. Yes.
नहीं नहीं,
Um,
but I'm just curious, मतलब I'm just trying to understand कि like अभी वो 6 घंटे कहाँ जा रहे हैं, वो नेटफ्लिक्स में जा रहे हैं, are you sleeping more, like where are those?
Whatever time I got, like for the past few weeks, I was spending time into, problem solving and all. It's just that I had things going on, like I had to travel to my hometown and stuff. So it went on there.
अच्छा अच्छा, ठीक
Yeah.
है, I think बाकी चीजें चलती रहेंगी, मतलब I think from a problem solving is one thing, मतलब it requires dedicated time. uh,
Mm.
so 6 to 12 months, like 6 months is like when you are very very dedicated.
Mm.
uh, 12 months is more of a realistic perspective. uh, so if you're doing like as a 6 hours a week में I would say कि थोड़ा सा मतलब 10 तो सो कर ही लो.
Mm.
uh, I think that would be better. क्योंकि again the thing about this is कि you never know what might come up in October. हो
Mm.
सकता है अक्टूबर में तुम्हारा वर्क में कुछ डेडलाइन आ जाए, या
Mm.
मे बी कुछ पर्सनल चीज आ जाए, मतलब वट एवर. तो यू कैन
Mm.
नॉट जस्ट से कि मेरे पास 6 घंटे अ वीक अगले 12 महीने के लिए हमेशा ही रहेंगे. तो आई थिंक
Mm.
इट्स जस्ट बेटर टू हैव सम काइंड ऑफ अ बफर देयर. सो या इफ यू आर सेइंग कि मैं 6 से 12 कर सकती हूँ, सो आई वुड से व्हाई नॉट.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. All right. Yeah. Thank you.
ऑलराइट, प्रज्वल. प्रज्वल, यू आर ऑन म्यूट.
Yes. Yes. Hi, Swapnil.
हेलो.
So, my question is like, I have seen this is like before 3 4 months, I would say.
हम्म.
I talked with my peers, friends, and all. They told ki I have done testing from scratch. I have like in the work wherever they are working, and I have learned deploying, DevOps, all those things. They have great opportunities wherever they were. And at that time, I was kind of doing support tasks, CSS, and things like that. Not exactly support, I would say, but solving bugs and CSS kind of stuff. Today, also, I think it's a mixed role. It's not completely um, like it's support as well as dev. Okay. And I'm not able to uh, like I'm not able to think ki, is this will here my growth happen or not? Because when I see other friends and other people like me who are working in same industry and like similar 1.52 years of experience, they have grown. They tell ki I have done these many things. Optimization, they have worked on performance, optimization on the production level code. I have not got such opportunities. So I have this doubt basically. How do you identify whether you are growing?
Got it. So coming back to the question that we did a reflection on, um, कि can you tell? I saw your answer where you said कि last 3 4 months में you saw कि mobile apps कैसे release होते हैं. Uh, so like can you answer that for like maybe 3 months back? So last 3 months में ये हुआ. What about 3 months before that?
So whatever I answered, like I have not built it. Like I'm not the one who have built it from scratch, but I have seen ki how does that happen.
नहीं नहीं प्रज्वल, तो सीन तो फिर यूट्यूब हो गया ना. यूट्यूब पे तो यू कैन सी एनीथिंग, राइट?
नहीं, seen as in not like seen मतलब कि not a video kind of thing. I have what do you call, the code has been written in front of me. I know how that code works. It's just not कि I have not written that code.
करेक्ट, बट कोड फेमिलियरिटी तो गिटहब पे भी यू कैन फाइंड अ बंच ऑफ प्रोजेक्ट्स, राइट? व्हाट आई एम सेइंग इज कि अगर वो तुमने खुद ने नहीं किया है, तो मतलब अगर हमें काउंट करवाना है तो हम काउंट करवा सकते हैं, मतलब ऐसा वो नहीं है, बट आई थिंक इट इज बेटर टू रिफ्लेक्ट इन टर्म्स ऑफ कि तुमने खुद ने उसमें क्या किया है।
I've used it.
हम्म
So
तो आई थिंक लाइक दैट्स अ गुड रिफ्लेक्शन की, लाइक जैसे यू सेड राइट कि हाउ टू आइडेंटिफाई। तो लाइक just like I'm saying this objectively कि like if I'm evaluating this objectively I will not count this। तो I would say कि भाई for whatever reason 3 मंथ में उतना न्यू लर्निंग नहीं हुआ है, काम हुआ है, उतना न्यू लर्निंग नहीं हुआ है।
right, so this is what I'm not able to understand ki what will you categorize as learning, what will you categorize as work, uh,
um,
from
hmm
where will your growth exactly come from?
see you saw others answers, right? um जैसे someone said कि they learned 3JS, DynamoDB, Lambda. Someone said they learned Node.
But
Someone said
learning is like, how would you say that I have learned this? Like there,
लर्निंग मीन्स कि तुमने कुछ प्रोजेक्ट बनाया उस पे।
okay.
Okay, let me put it this way. Okay, how to learn, okay, how to evaluate, थोड़ा सा hard to quantify लग रहा है। It's easier intuitively. um Anyone else who wants to like answer this, just unmute and just share your thoughts.
Can you repeat the question?
So the question is, how do you identify if you are learning if you're learning enough in your job?
Got it. Um, yeah, so for me, others, like if I'm learning something, then it would show in front of my team as well in my, let's say, PR reviews, or let's say if there is a launch and I have worked on a product and there weren't that many iterations. And let's say if I implemented something new and it went right, so I would consider that as a learning. So I'll just give my example. Um, Earlier, like when I joined in my current company, after maybe 5, 6 months, one of the senior developers started giving his PRs it to me for reviews. So earlier when I started, like I was very bad at reading code of others. So I would literally just cry, ki I'm not able to understand. So I would just huddle with them like whenever I get a roadblock. So that started reducing, um, and they saw it as well. So yeah, that I think that's what is learning for me.
Yeah, I think that's pretty interesting. Which is, uh, if you're seeing seniors ka PR, if you are reviewing, or again like something, let's just say ki if you're reviewing any PR that you would not be able to review 3 months back, then you are
Yeah.
learning.
Yes.
Does it make sense?
Yes, it makes sense. Okay, thank you. So in that way, I would say yes. There has been instances where I am able to read code in a better way.
Nice. So see, as long as you are learning, uh, I would not worry too much about the speed. क्योंकि the thing with speed is it is the same thing with money. कि जैसे there will always be someone earning more than you. Similarly, there will always be someone learning more than you. तो उसमें भी लेट्स से इफ यू एंड अप कि भाई चलो अब मैं बैक एंड एसक्यूएल सीख लेता हूँ, देन सम फ्रेंड विल से अरे मैंने तो एडब्ल्यूएस सीख लिया, तुम वो सीख लोगे, कोई और बोलेगा अरे मैंने तो ये भी सीख लिया, वो भी सीख लिया। तो मतलब उसका भी कोई अंत है नहीं। अ बेटर थिंग इज जस्ट टू बी ऑन अ net positive कि भाई every 3 months, 6 months, you're learning new things in tech. As long as you're doing that, good to go. मतलब majority of people don't really invest time in or like learn new things. जो 5 साल पहले 4 साल पहले जो काम कर रहे होते हैं अभी वही कर रहे हैं, तो मोस्टली ऐसे ही चलता है लोगों का. As long as you are learning new things every year, that is a good place to be in. Again, the reason being that our careers are very long. अगर हमारा आप बोलते कि नहीं, जैसे जैसे if we talk about Olympic athletes, right? Or we talk about any sports related ones or like other domains, the दिक्कत with that is कि उनका the career span is very short. Like they will peak sometime in their 20s or like 28, 29, early 30 and खत्म हो गया फिर करियर. तो जितना उनको पैसा बनाना है वो लिमिटेड टाइम में बनाना है. द थिंग विद आईटी इज कि ऐसा नहीं है. इफ यू टॉक टू मोर सीनियर्स you'll realize कि 10 साल बाद the kind of money you make is like very different from what you make at the start of your career. So the way to go about that is ki you just be on a positive net path and you stay in the game. A lot of people also do ki they go deep and then one day they are like nahi tech se bharosa उड़ गया चलो अब कुछ और करते हैं. And any other domain you pick after tech, it will not be able to pay you as much. तो वो हमेशा ही dissatisfaction रहेगा. तो it's just better to optimize for staying in tech for as long as possible. And उसके लिए तुम्हें लर्निंग में मजा आ रहा है वो करो, तुम्हें कुछ और फन करने में मजा आ रहा है, I think whatever you can do sustainably, that is a better strategy rather than like following someone else's footsteps.
Right. Yes. Yes, I think thanks for your time and answer. The best part I liked about this was the autonomous thing. Like you have to be autonomous.
Hmm.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I think freedom is something which is like a core human need. Uh, कि I think yeah, it's just there. I don't know how biologically or socially it came to this, but uh, like we cannot live like to give a very crude example, जैसे let's say if an animal is in a cage, right? तो उसको freedom नहीं है. Let's say अगर bird cage है and there's a parrot there, तो वो मतलब slave है, मतलब freedom नहीं है. I think as a human भी वही है कि कहीं भी अगर हमें ऐसा लगता है कि अरे कुछ हम पे फोर्स्ड किया जा रहा है या फिर इट इज या इट इज सॉर्ट ऑफ क्लैशिंग विद फ्रीडम वाला चीज, तो फिर pretty much वहाँ पे वो अनकंफर्टेबल होने लगता है एंड इवेंचुअली इट स्टार्ट शोइंग. सो या.
yeah. Mm. Yes.
All
Thank you. Thanks a lot
right.
for your time, Swapnil.
All right, Rohit.
Yeah, so my thing is also related about sort of job satisfaction only. So, what I've been, so what I'll tell you what I do. So most of the work that I do is 90% it's front end only, 10% it's back end. I get to do back end as well. So, we were talking about learning, right, Abhi? So the way I measure learning is sort of key. Is it challenging? So the thing is ki, what I'm working on right now, it doesn't feel challenging anymore. And uh, so, but the thing is ki, it's matlab there are requirements, right? So the culture is nice. My manager is also nice. So if I ask him, I want to work on this, they'll allow me to work on that. So backend, just so I work on backend. So sometimes when I want to work, if I am free, then I'll work on backend. We have Flutter, we have apps, so that those are built in Flutter. So I've been trying to matlab learn Flutter whenever possible, whenever I get time. So what happens is right now I get assigned these tasks, I have to work on those, and then you talked about in the satisfaction part, you talked about autonomy and depth, right? So
Mhm.
autonomy is there. Matlab, he just tells me what to do, I do it. So that part is sorted. About depth, so it's not completely in my hands, right? So let's say a task has been assigned to me, then I have to deliver it within this timeline because there is a timeline requirement as well, right? So I cannot explore, let's say, maybe depth in it, right? I'll have to deliver it. So that, how do I optimize on that aspect? Maybe key
Got it.
what is being
So,
assigned to me is not interesting,
hmm,
but you said ki I could make it interesting by trying to dive deep into it, but
right.
there is that timeline thing. So how do I uh, make that interesting
Understood.
and deliver things on time? Because the depth that I'm going into, that might not be the requirement, right? So they
Got it.
don't need that much.
What is like, give me an example of a timeline.
Timeline in the sense, let's say I have a feature, front end feature that I have to build. Uh, I've done it 100 times. It's easy, so it's not interesting for me.
Yeah, yeah. Give me a number. Like, let's say, give me an example timeline.
I don't know. I mean, any one day, let's say, or I don't know. Matlab, it depends on the feature as well, right? So, 2 3 days maybe. Matlab, what is the, let's say 3 days, okay?
ठीक है.
Yeah.
So, so when the timeline is given as 3 days,
Hmm.
uh, what I'm hearing is कि what you feel is कि अगर इसमें डेप्थ में जाएंगे तो 3 दिन में डिलीवर नहीं होगा.
Yes.
Got
Matlab,
it.
yeah. So I'll have to go beyond what is required, right?
You'll have to.
Provided when there are other tasks also lined up. जैसे this is fine. I could go into depth and then that will take maybe 4 days. But then the problem is there is another time task lined up after that which I have to pick up.
Got
So
it.
that is also
So
there, right?
how? So competence is. Let me add another factor. So competence is not just depth. It
Hmm.
is fastness or it is speed as well. Actually, by giving the example of the Rubik's Cube, I actually meant it in a speed perspective. Or
Okay.
I also give an example of the treadmill thing, right? Ki
Hmm.
if you're running 1 kilometer, can you do it in 30 seconds less? The same
Right.
goes for this. Let's say you have a feature. Of
Hmm.
course, let's say in this condition you have done it 100 times.
Hmm.
So instead of 3 days, now can you do the same in 2.5 days?
Right. Okay.
Can you do the same in 2 days?
Okay.
What will take you, मतलब just as a thought experiment, अगर तुमने सही में को 100 बार कर रखा है,
Hmm.
तो what will it take you, again a theoretical question, thought experiment, what will it take you to do it in 4 hours?
Okay.
So that is where your competence will build.
Okay.
ऑफ कोर्स अगर तुमने 100 बार 3 दिन में कर रखा है तो तुम 101 बार भी 3 दिन में तो कर ही दोगे.
Right.
But the challenge is not there. Challenge is in pushing the timeline. Of course, from a more practical perspective, you don't need to tell it to the other person कि मैं जल्दी कर लिया. वो एक अलग चीज
Hmm.
हो गई. क्योंकि फिर
Right.
जल्दी कर लोगे तो फिर एक्सपेक्टेशन वही सेट हो जाएगा. तो वो एक अलग चीज है. But
Okay.
just for yourself, can you just complete it in 1 hour less, then 2 hours less, then 4 hours less, then 6 hours
Okay.
less? Like, can you do that? I think that is a good question to sort of keep in mind whenever you are given any next feature.
Okay. Uh, but I'll try this, but I wonder if it will matlab help with the challenge part in the sense uh, challenge when I say I mean ki challenging in terms of I don't know exactly how to do it in the sense so when I talk about these things that are not challenging, they are matlab I exactly know how to do them because I've done them so many times.
Correct,
So maybe something
but right now you don't
yeah.
know how to do them in 2 hours less, right?
Okay. Hmm.
What I would recommend is ki try this out for 2 weeks. Uh,
Okay.
then just let's talk after 2 weeks. Either reply to the Luma email, ping me on Discord, wherever.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
let's catch up again in 2 weeks. Uh, from a challenge perspective, from experience, I can tell you that same task को same time में करना is boring, is
Hmm.
easy. But when you have to think about इसको जल्दी कैसे कर सकते हैं, That is a challenge that you have not encountered before, right? And
Right.
उसके लिए you'll have to think more. उसके लिए you'll have to everything is interlinked. You'll have to go in depth also more. You'll have to understand more about कि अच्छा इसको ब्रेक डाउन कैसे करेंगे, कौन सा स्टेप जल्दी कर सकते हैं और क्या चीज का आरओआई कितना है, मतलब बेसिकली you can only do it faster if you know it in more depth.
Okay, got it.
So I understand where you're coming from कि अगर सेम फीचर है, like if I just give a random example कि यार एक फॉर्म बनाना है,
Right.
बना
Yes.
चुके हैं 50 बार फॉर्म, बट when you attempt to do it in 20% less time, that is
Hmm.
a different game altogether.
Okay. Or maybe how could do it better? मतलब 50 times बनाया, but what could I मतलब do better this time?
करेक्ट करेक्ट, सो बेटर में तो मोर और लेस वो आएगा कि बेटर में तो रिक्वायरमेंट तो तुमको मिलेगी पहले, राइट?
Hmm.
तो बेटर में नॉट इन टर्म्स ऑफ रिक्वायरमेंट बट मे बी इन टर्म्स ऑफ परफॉर्मेंस हो सकता है,
Performance. I'm talking about performance. Maybe
राइट? सो देन
there
अगेन,
were some
so
downsides.
so the competence here would be evaluated as, let's say कि टास्क स्टिल 3 दिन का ही है, बट नाउ पहले के कंपैरिजन में यू आर मेकिंग इट प्लस एडिंग सम परफॉर्मेंस इंप्रूवमेंट्स इन द सेम 3 days.
Okay.
तुम 4 दिन में 5 दिन में तो कर ही सकते हो, क्योंकि उसमें तुम्हें क्या
Okay.
करना है, उसमें तुम्हें जाके 2 ब्लॉग्स पढ़ने हैं, 2 वीडियोस देखने हैं, एंड मोर और लेस तुम ट्राई करोगे कुछ चीजें, कुछ चल जाएगा, राइट?
Hmm.
बट
Okay.
डूइंग इट इन द सेम टाइम बिकॉज योर बिजनेस विल नॉट वेट फॉर कि नहीं रोहित सीख रहा है तो विल वेट फॉर, विल गिव मोर टाइम, ऐसा तो होगा नहीं.
Hmm. Right.
तो अगर तुम्हें सेम टाइम में करना है तो तुम्हें जो ओरिजिनल काम है वो जल्दी करना होगा, तब जाके तुम्हें बफर टाइम मिलेगा.
Right. Right. Yes. Makes sense.
So yeah, try it out. Just trust me on this. Ki
Right.
give it a shot. Then let's talk after 2 weeks.
Cool. Cool.
Okay,
Thank you.
cool. Prashant,
Yeah, hi Swapnil.
hello.
So my question is that I had worked with an organization for 1 year, and before that I was learning front end. But when I joined the team, they assigned me the role of backend developer, and the work was not challenging at all. So initially, basically, I enjoyed that because I was avoiding complexities, but when 1 year passed, I basically realized that my friends and peers were completely building full stack apps, and I was neither good at front end or neither on back end. And but then what I did is I resigned from that organization, and in 3 months I learned React Native and then joined another organization. So there I'm currently working. It's been 1 year. But if I had to switch in future, so how can I counter that 1 year that I feel like I wasted in my previous organization?
It's
So
okay.
I
Like
don't want to
careers are 30
basically
years,
fake my
30 years, 40 years long. So एक साल really doesn't matter.
okay. But I mean, from the knowledge point of view, most of the companies I'm seeing, they're looking for developers with at least 2 years of experience.
Mhm.
So in that case, should I continue working for one more year in my current organization, or
So दो चीजें हैं, एक है लॉन्ग टर्म के पर्सपेक्टिव से सोचना है, या फिर करेंटली मजा नहीं आ रहा है एंड फटाफट निकलना है.
the work is nice here in this company, but the salary is very low.
Got it. ठीक है, सैलरी विल फॉलो मैन, मतलब as long as starting salary is more than 3.6, you are in a good place.
Okay, all right.
So
Okay.
money will follow. um let's go back to, okay, what was the last thing you said उससे पहले? Okay, immediately निकलने का कुछ नहीं है ना अभी, you're liking whatever you're doing.
Yeah, I'm liking it.
So from a long term perspective, what I would say is कि like I think MNC वाला होता है ये सबका गोल है, I'm assuming तुम्हारा भी होगा ही.
No, I'm targeting startups like Cast24, Spinny, etc.
कास्ट 24, ओके. हाँ मतलब कास्ट 24 को बड़े में ही गिनेंगे ना, उसको मिड में थोड़ी गिनेंगे.
Yeah.
Yeah. So um so I think you have like two paths. One is you can dive deep into backend SQL. The other is you can, well, of course, in addition to your work mein to keep doing what you're doing. Uh, Nights and weekends pe you can either pick up SQL or matlab data backend, or you can pick up problem solving. What I would recommend is कि दोनों try करो दो हफ्ते. Uh, just try and see what you like more out of those two, and then pick that one and just like uh, उसको डेप्थ में चले जाओ. एज लॉन्ग एज तुम्हें फ्रंट एंड भी तुम्हें आता है, तुम्हें मोबाइल भी आता है, तो आई थिंक you're already building that journalist wala persona, which is very helpful in any startup setting like Spinny, Cast 24. So from a direction perspective, I think you're already on the right path. Now it's just about figuring out what do you like more out of the 5 6 different things we discussed. So just try it out for a few weeks each. um, Maybe 1 week 2 weeks spent on learning backend. एक बार AWS भी explore कर लो, see problem solving, see Figma, try out a bunch of things, then maybe just ping me after 1 month, sometime next month, कि भाई ये try किया, ये सीखा, and what do you like more. Once you figure out कि ये you like more, then I can also give a more detailed sort of like a road map or a direction कि अच्छा इसको अब अगले 6 महीने में ऐसे you can build depth in.
Okay. Okay. I got your answer.
All right. Ajinkya?
Hi, Swapnil.
Hello.
So like my question is first I will tell about myself. So like currently where I am working. So like in past 1.7 years, like when I joined as a fresher here, like my role was software engineer, and like because I am from Neoji camp, and like I already knew React that time. So I initially got a project in React. So it was pretty easy for me to go ahead and develop that. And I did that. I completed, like our estimation for that project was around 5 to 6 months, but like we were small team, and like with like good knowledge, we completed that project before the estimations, like before, like it was around three to 4 months we completed that. And after that, like because we are service based company, and it was in startup that at that time, and it is still it is, but we have grown. Like later we got, we were going to have an Angular project. So for that, I learned 1 month Angular, and like I started building Angular project for them. So yeah, like it went good. After like 3 4 5 months that project completed, and like uh, after like that project completed, we got new requirement for Next.js, and again like I learned Next.js. Again I like developed a project for Next.js. So like, so in my like 1.5 to 1.7 years of experience, like I have switched like frameworks many times. Uh, like it became problem when I wanted to switch from this company. So like initially I was not getting calls, then I researched about it, and like why I'm not getting shortlisted. I like saw that my resume was not good, and so like I did all of those things. I applied to various jobs, so I was like very confused at which job should I apply. I knew three of like all of these three frameworks, and like so like what I did was, in last month I was very aggressive finding jobs. So I applied to all three of them, and because like currently I have an like I again have a React project, but like it's been 6 to 7 months I have not worked in Angular. And for that I had an interview, and like they were finding a person who know Angular in deep. So like I didn't do well at that interview. Later I got an another interview from a product based company. So it was totally on system design. So I did good on that, but they told like they make large scale application, and because like they didn't see like from my experience they didn't see that I have like made any large scale application in my current experience. Like so on, I gave Next.js interviews. I did well on some of those, but in some of those I didn't do well. And like there were some interviews and talking about assignments, I used to get like 4 to 5 assignments in 2 3 days to be completed. So I was like, in that point of time I was not able to complete even a single project, uh, like even a single assignment for that time. So like my goal is to like get out of like to switch from this company, and like even if it is a smaller MNC, I just want to be in a product based company. Currently I hold an offer from again, it is a service based company, and it is a startup, but I don't think like it is any growth for myself, because again I have to switching in company, and like it like I got 40% 40% this hike on my current CTC. So like I don't find it much, first of all. And the second thing is uh, like uh, I feel like I should focus on product based company rather than going to service based company and doing the same. Like, because currently I have a comfort here, but like I don't know if I get the same comfort in my next company. So like I don't know like what should I do.
Understood. So you mentioned one thing, which is ki you got 40% raise, but you're not happy about it.
Yeah,
Why?
I don't know. Like like my friends and my peers got like honestly they got more from that, and I thought like I might deserve the same.
Hmm.
I don't know, like, but I know like I have learned a lot of things here, so I should get like my current organization agreed to match the offer, and like they told that they will like match this and you can stay here. So like I am very confused. Like, what should I
So
do?
from I think first thing first, ये तुम्हें mentally हटाना होगा कि हाइक कम मिला है. In a good market, in a good market, 30% is the hike. And abhi, this year, last year, it is not a good market at all. I think
Hmm.
40 is a very, 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 very good raise that you have received. Uh, of course, from a comparison perspective, I think I've touched on this multiple times in this call कि किसी ना किसी का तो ज्यादा होगा ही तुमसे. लर्निंग भी किसी का ज्यादा होगा, अर्निंग भी किसी का ज्यादा होगा. एंड वो हमेशा ही रहेगा. वो आज भी है, वो 3 साल बाद भी रहेगा, वो 10 साल बाद भी रहेगा, वो 20 साल बाद भी रहेगा. यू विल ऑलवेज हैव समवन, यू विल नो समवन हु इज मेकिंग मोर देन यू एट द सेम लेवल. तो आई थिंक सबसे पहले तो यही तुम्हें अच्छे से समझना होगा कि 40% रेज इज नॉट स्मॉल एट ऑल. इफ एनीथिंग, it is like more than average. And yeah, uh, once you realize this, then the other thing, which is key, you have experience in multiple domains. So think about this key. Let's say um, 3 technologies में अगर तुम experience है 6 महीने का, so instead of 1.5 year experience, effectively you have 6 months experience. So now
Hmm.
whenever you're applying to any company, you would be more suited for a fresher or a junior uh, position role, because लाइक जैसे एंगुलर वाले पे यू सेड राइट कि वो डेप्थ बिल्ड नहीं हुआ है एक पर्टिकुलर टॉपिक पे, एंड दैट इज इम्पोर्टेंट. सो यू कैन जस्ट सॉर्ट ऑफ जो हुआ वो हुआ. What you can now just pick is ki just pick the field that you like, you see yourself working for at least 2 years, 3 years more, so that that is where you'll start building your expertise. And after that, then whatever you're seeing paths of others, you'll be on the same path. Abhi, the major problem is ki you have like scattered experience along different, like वो jack of all trades वाला scene है.
Yeah.
तो both good and bad. मतलब I think good is कि you got a taste of multiple technologies which most people don't get. Bad is कि मतलब of course if let's say if I only am evaluating your profile, so I'll not call it 1.5 year, I'll call it 5.5 for whatever technology I'm hiring, which is true as well, right? कि उस पर्टिकुलर टेक्नोलॉजी में तुमने उतना ही काम किया है. तो I think you can just sort of now pick something that you want to stick to, and yeah, I think malab the it will be you'll be in a good place in another 1 year, like next May you'll be at that place if you stick to one thing. So just pick what you like, stick to it for 1 year. I think that's the way to go.
Yeah, so like for that, what I think is like if I told my company, that I want to stick around this React framework, and I want to I want to go to it like through it. So like my current company like doesn't allow this. Like they keep on changing stacks. How like according to projects we are assigned to that project, like whatever framework
And that
has
is
been.
that is what golden handcuffs mean. That is what I touched upon. Key companies pay more because they have to pay more, and of course, like 40% hike is something that I've already told ki it is very good, very high, and in some sense, you have that raise. That is why it is hard for you to sort of go against it in a way. You're saying that, right? Ki even though you want to stick to one thing, but a company is not allowing,
Yeah.
and in some sense you feel bound to it because they're paying good, right?
Mhm.
And that is exactly what golden handcuffs mean, which is key you're earning but you're not learning, and it is okay to do that, but फिर then you cannot compare with someone else. या तो you say कि नहीं, I'm making good money and then I'll keep growing here itself. But if you want to start comparing with your friends or any other person, any other random person on Twitter, if you want to compare, you
Mhm.
go to a meetup and you start talking about कि अच्छा तुम्हारा कितना पैकेज है and मेरा इतना है, and like if you want to compare, then you'll have to get out of these golden handcuffs, which is कि what this means in practice is कि if your company says कि नहीं, we will change your tech stack, you sort of take a stand कि either I'll work in the same tech stack or I am resigning,
Mhm.
and then you sort of stick to what you say. uh, so I think वही दोनों दोनों हाथ में लड्डू you cannot get. You cannot just say कि नहीं, I want money as well and then I want learning as well. मतलब वो तो मतलब इतने इंडियन मतलब इंडिया में तो इतना इतने डेवलपर्स हैं कि there will always be someone who's next in line. तो
Yeah.
कहीं ना कहीं you will have to like weigh the trade-offs of that.
Yeah. Good. Like what I thought, like what I was thinking before this is like if I would be joining any product based company, then I will be, I will be working on like uh only one project, rather than like working 6 months, 6 months, 6 months again
But
in
product
different
based
projects.
में competition भी है ना, मतलब it's not like कि you will give it tomorrow and मतलब I don't know your preparation, but what I have seen is कि मतलब product based company requires different level of interview prep, or interview prep क्या बोलूं, मतलब different level of skills.
Yeah.
मतलब in some sense getting into a service company is easier.
Yeah.
So now there are two things: either you feel ki you already are that at that level wherein you can crack a product company interview, then of course well and good. But if you feel कि नहीं उसमें time लगेगा, so then तब तक you'll need to at least not switch frequently at your current place. So वो you'll need to have that talk with your manager to like make him or her understand कि भाई this is the situation and this is how you're thinking about your career, and switching से ये दिक्कत हो रहा है तुम्हें project switching से.
Understood.
So I think next 10 days में कर लो manager से बात, then ping me on Discord, let's see how it goes.
Yeah. What I think now is like, if like, is it a good idea if I stay here and like prepare like 4 or 5 months for like 4 or 5 months for, or 6 to 8 months for a good product based company, like even if it isn't startup like product based company, it will be a good thing for me.
Yeah, makes sense. Well, I think uh, if you can spend time on learning, then like nothing like it. And 4 5 months is very manageable also. Like if you say कि नहीं, if you have to commit for 1 year 2 years, then hard to foresee. But 4 5 months looks doable. Now it is just about your motivation and you're showing up. मतलब ऐसा नहीं हो कि भाई एक हफ्ता you do and then second हफ्ते में you are like नहीं हो गया बहुत. So if you can be consistent in addition to the job, I think that's the best way to go.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Swapnil. Thank you for this.
All right. Any final questions from I think रोहित ने तो पूछ लिया था. Parimal, Amar, Prakash. Uh, I know you did not raise your hand, but it's a small group. If you want to ask, share anything, now's the time.
No, Swapnil, I'm good for now.
Hey, all right. Cool. Parimal, Amar?
Am I audible?
Yes.
No questions, Swapnil.
All right. Parimal?
Right. So, I mean, this is not the थोड़ा सा weird question, very specific to me.
ठीक है.
But from what I noticed recently searching jobs is I got callbacks from many companies जो ऐसे हैं. They are like, we are a payroll firm and we will source you out to other bigger companies. So
Okay.
it could be like other MNCs, product based or service based, you know.
ठीक है.
So, मतलब, I actually accepted an offer from one of them. And it was overall a good offer, and so due to circumstances मैंने ले लिया. So I was just wondering if it impacts my resume or my career in a negative way. If you're aware of these kind of situations or arrangements, so I would
कितना
like to
time हुआ
hear
है?
your 2 months early.
And any new thing you learned in these 2 months?
हाँ, as in अब तक I only worked in like startups जहाँ पे it's very individual work is बहुत ज़्यादा रहता था, responsibilities, right? So you have to figure out everything, do everything. But यहाँ पे this is more of a MNC, right? बड़ी company, they have processes, they have teams. So I have a team lead, uh, and tasks are like it's quite balanced. कि I get some level of freedom to do things, but then सब कुछ already है, like the code structure is there. The bit is very well managed, I would say. So it was a new experience rather than learning. मतलब हाँ, I learned कि ऐसे काम कैसे होता है, like they have processes, they have approvals,
Got it.
and फिर I learned some server side CSS, some Mapbox थोड़ा सा introduction हुआ. So overall it is good, but concern wise, I'm just concerned कि I'm on a payroll of different company and I'm working for some other company technically. तो पेरोल कंपनी का टेक के साथ कोई ये है, इट्स जस्ट लाइक एचआर इज इन अ डिफरेंट कंपनी, बाकी एवरीथिंग इज
Got it.
तो
Um,
दैट्स इट.
See, I think from a from a logical perspective, that doesn't matter. Matlab, as I see ki you have learned basics of 3JS, DynamoDB, Lambda. Um, as long as you keep learning new things every 3 months, every 6 months, that is what matters. Um, what you're saying is effectively the same thing as कि अरे तुम्हारे 10th में कितने नंबर थे, does it matter or not? So
Hmm.
it matters if you're not technically strong. So same is here, which is कि अगर तुम्हें टेक्निकली चीजें नहीं आते हैं, देन इट मैटर्स कि अच्छा अरे तुम तो पेरोल वाले कंपनी में थे. ऑफ कोर्स मतलब डायरेक्ट एम्प्लॉयमेंट इज बेटर देन अ पेरोल, दैट इज देयर. बट कब मैटर करता है वो, जब और कुछ है नहीं हमारे पास टू शो. व्हेन वी ऑलरेडी हैव कि भाई वी आर लर्निंग न्यू थिंग्स, वी आर ग्रोइंग टेक्निकली इन अ करियर, then these things don't matter. So yeah, you can be here for 1 year, 3 years, 5 years. uh, that's totally fine as long as you're learning things. Well, if 1 year passes and you're doing the same thing 1 year later, then वो दिक्कत होगा, because then even in the interview they will grill you कि तुमने उस साल क्या किया, and you'll be like कुछ नहीं किया. तो फिर वो एक कंसर्न बन जाता है. बट फ्रॉम अ लॉजिस्टिकल पर्सपेक्टिव में पैसा कहाँ से आ रहा है, इट डजेंट मैटर. बट लर्निंग कहाँ से आ रही है, दिस इज व्हाट एक्चुअली मैटर्स. क्योंकि लर्निंग हमेशा रियल वर्ल्ड प्रोजेक्ट से ही आएगी. एंड तुम जिस भी क्लाइंट में हो, अब वो तुम डायरेक्टली एम्प्लॉयड हो या किसी एजेंसी के थ्रू हो, यू आर एक्चुअली इंटरेक्टिंग विद द कंपनी के लोग, यू आर वर्किंग ऑन द कंपनी का प्रोजेक्ट, यू आर गेटिंग फीड, योर प्रोडक्ट इज गेटिंग यूज्ड बाय द कस्टमर्स ऑफ द कंपनी. So from a learning perspective, all touch points are with the company itself, right? So yeah,
Got
that's
it.
what matters.
ओके एंड फिर इसी क्वेश्चन का सेकंड पार्ट, मतलब जनरली थोड़ा सा एंजाइटी है रिगार्डिंग कुछ अरेंजमेंट, दैट्स व्हाई these questions are coming, but like from the perspective of somebody who is looking to hire me, तो उसके उसके लिए how should I like explain this on my resume? So should I say कि I was employed with this payroll company, which nobody knows, it's a smaller firm. Okay, should I just use the name of the actual company, which is a bigger firm? So, does it even matter? Am I just overthinking this?
Yeah, you're just overthinking this.
Okay.
It is just logistics. Sometimes what also happens is कि companies prefer contracting out for projects which they don't know, like whether ROI है या नहीं है, whatever. For many different reasons this arrangement could be done. Sometimes ऐसा भी होता है कि a company can't legally hire directly in India, and then they just sort of route it through a payroll company. So payroll company does other things as well, right? They will give you some perks, some like things like insurance, and like they have some compliances that they follow, right? If uh, if some company is from outside, then if they haven't set up an Indian entity, so there are some challenges with employing Indians, or like with any country's people, if you're not based in that company itself. So there are multiple reasons to get or hire, employ people via a payroll company. So yeah, I think uh, just overthinking right now. Again, ऐसा कुछ तुमने बॉन्ड तो साइन किया नहीं है कि भाई 10 साल तुम उनके साथ काम करोगे. You most
No,
likely
no.
will not be doing that. तो as long as they are paying you on time, मतलब ऐसा मत करना कि भाई 3 महीने पैसे ही नहीं आए. तो that is one दिक्कत with payroll companies कि उनका कैश फ्लो मेस्ड अप रहता है. So just make that make sure that payments are coming, salaries coming on time. And the only thing other the only other thing you need to worry about is कि are you learning on a frequent basis. साल में 1 2 3 बार you can say कि भाई significantly कुछ नया सीखा है. As long as you're doing that, good to go.
ओके, तो फिर यहाँ पे थोड़ा लाइक सेल्फ रिफ्लेक्टिंग, इट्स लाइक पहले ऑल ऑफ माई लर्निंग हैपेंड व्हाइल वर्किंग एट द जॉब, राइट? क्योंकि काम बहुत रहता था, बीइंग अ जूनियर या फिर relatively new, 1 or 2 years of experience. So that would be my learning. But यहाँ पे it's different. It's like they allot a lot of time. It's almost twice the amount of time which they allow, as opposed to जो मुझे पहले मिलता था. So I think it's up to me now to like figure out the plan to learn and like keep doing it consistently.
Yeah.
So हाँ, overall मतलब this was a good reflection this entire session. Thank you for that.
Cool, cool. All right, folks, we are 1 hour uh, ahead of the scheduled time. But yeah, I think good discussion today. If you need a follow-up discussion at any point, just reply to the Luma email, which you would have gotten, or just ping me on Discord anytime. That's about it. Let's wrap up and have a good night. Bye-bye.
Good night, Swapnil. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye. Bye.